tell you because it's I'm a young creative. I grew up using Photoshop. At 13 years old, I started using Photoshop, making YouTube thumbnails for my YouTube videos. Fast forward a couple years, and I got friends in marketing jobs and graphic design jobs, and um, I wanted one of these artists that put their art into. They happen to put their art into a company, but I really believe that they're an artist because I've seen what they're capable of. I've seen one of these people. I've been friends with them, and I'm working on a book here. I'm working on a book called the. Well, it doesn't really matter what it's called. Uh, I want to keep that under wraps for right now. I'll let you guys know here in the near future, but I'm writing a book, and I wanted one of these people to illustrate it. So I got the right one, got in contact with that person. I'm going to keep their name anonymous because of the nature of the situation. Um, I wanted them to illustrate the book, and my vision was simple. I wanted them to depict the vision of the book with the least amount of guidelines as possible. I didn't state that, and that maybe that's my fault, but I didn't state that. Um, I didn't state how I didn't want guidelines. But this person, like I said, happens to work in a corporate structure with their art, and corporate and art don't really. I feel like they don't really mix well, to be honest. Uh, it's hard to make a subjective thing objective, but anyways, yeah. Um, they had really good ideas. This person had really good ideas from the jump. I asked them for the illustrations. They had really good ideas from the jump. And then somewhere along the lines, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they second guessed themselves. I don't know if they started thinking about something that their job told them to do or what. But somewhere along the lines, they decided to bring in a bunch of paperwork, and all of a sudden, the idea wasn't wasn't pure anymore. It wasn't what the world needed. It wasn't what people actually needed to see and actually needed to hear. And all of a sudden, it was like not watered down, but it just wasn't placed correctly. The pieces weren't placed how they should have been. Like somehow the paperwork and trying to like overcomplicate art somewhere along the lines of, you know, getting art down to like a science, it it completely got lost. The idea was completely lost in translation, and it sparked an idea within me. It's like, do does art and paperwork really combine? Like, should we be combining art with paperwork at all? Should we even have art and paperwork in the same discussions? Because if the minute paperwork got brought into it, and the paperwork was simple, it looked like a child's book. This person brought me, I wanted them to illustrate my book. And they wanted to do a good job. They were well intended. I don't think it was their fault. I think they, somewhere along the lines, they were misguided and they second guessed themselves. And I think that they're still capable of the job. But I think the minute they started to overcomplicate it, it got lost because they gave me a piece of paper and it looked like a kid's book. They wanted to know simple questions like, what art style did I want the book illustrated in? And I started to cry a little bit because I'm like, this isn't art. If I'm telling you how to do something, this isn't art. I'm like, look, my guideline is simple. I want you to get the vision of the book. Do it in your style. Be you, because that's why I came to you. And so it broke my heart a little bit to have to explain something that, like, motherfucker, just believe in your goddamn self, you know? And it broke my heart to have to do that. Drove me a little insane because I know how the corporate world can be. And they want you to make this subjective medium called that we call art as humans. They wanted to try and make this subjective medium objective, and it's just not going to happen. You're just not going to have numbers or like objective guidelines around art. It's art. People make art out of macaroni noodles, for crying out loud, and popsicle sticks. They're meant to be eaten and fucking used to eat popsicles. But somehow people made it art. Art's about breaking the rules. It's not about having guidelines. And I'll take that to the grave with me. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm open to suggestions, but somewhere along the lines, like I said, the minute we brought in the paperwork and trying to legitimize it, it's like we'll save the paperwork for publishing, for the publishing phase. But we're working on the book. We're making it presentable right now. Only extensive guidelines. I believe in you. You don't need rules to do the right thing. A lot of people out there do. That's the sad thing, is like a lot of people out there do need rules to do the right thing. And that's the whole argument of self-governance versus like, you know, out of self-control, no self-control, right? The people with no self-control always mess up. And then there's rules made, and then the people with self-control, now they can't do the thing that actually made them smart and stand out. And we've all dealt with it. We've all been, in school and had that one kid tapping their pencil too loud, and now everyone's got to stay inside for recess. You guys can stop watching. I don't care. Like, I know I'm right. You can sit here and argue with me to the brim, and I'll beat mine to a pulp. I'll juice it to a pulp. You can sit here and stop watching. I don't care. I'll scream this message till I die. This world's pathetic, and the minute we started trying to overcomplicate easy tasks, it went to shit. And it breaks my heart, and it should break yours as well. Because the very rules that were meant to keep you safe keep you from sticking out and being smart and using your brain. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending, I view it fortunately, I was born in a place where I had to learn. I had to sit and learn. There was no choice but for me to think. There wasn't strict guidelines. It was either I learn or, I really messed something up and cost people big time around me. Whether it was taking the garbage down or something. I had to learn to look both ways, crossing the street and stuff just like everybody else. I didn't need some camera to make sure I did that. And it's like, how far do you want to go? Like, how many rules do you want? How many rules do you really need? And so I had this dilemma within myself. Out of a simple, I just asked an artist to illustrate a book. And I realized that the problem's way deeper than that. Some people say it's not that deep. No, it's way deeper than that. It's deeper than even I'm saying it is. Because why are we not even able to fuck up? Why do we have guardrails on the side of the road and speed limits? Like, why both? How much of, help can you give people until it's like, look, some people are just stupid and you just gotta let them die. And maybe just let the smart people survive, because it's crazy. I don't think I've ever been surrounded by such monkeyism till I reached adulthood. People in school, people growing up in the public education system, they weren't afraid to be smart. They weren't afraid to be wise. Once they entered like a workforce hierarchy, then shit changed. Once they knew they had to pay that bill, and to be able to pay that bill, they had to say things that the boss liked. Once that kicked in, once the hierarchy kicked in, and all the, aggressive tactics that are used to make you follow their fucking way, once all that kicked in, Shit changed. People got real dumb. But I don't think they're dumb. I don't honestly think they're dumb. To be quite frank, I don't honestly think they're dumb. It's just how it appears. Because I know that the problem's deeper than that. And I know that they're fucking getting fucked over by a hierarchy that says they need to do it their way or they can hit the fucking highway. And that's the shitty part, is knowing that it could be better, knowing that there's things that could improve certain situations. But, you know, boss man says it's unsafe. It's a liability. Yeah, so is driving to work. I could die driving to work too. There's risk there too. Should we ban cars? How far do you want to go? How far do you want to go, people? Seriously. Do you want to fake smarts, but really you couldn't fuck up in the first place? Or do you actually want to be smart?